Hi loves, welcome back to the Coco Swatches YouTube channel. My name is Ofune and I'm the face behind some of the swatches you might see floating around your social media pages. Today I'm going to do a very highly requested video. We're going to be talking about how I match my foundations, especially using, the swatches that I do. And today we're going to be working with the NYX Born to Glow foundation. I've been seeing a lot of good things about it, so I'm excited to try it. So if you're interested in how I match my foundations using my swatches, stay tuned and keep on watching. So I wanted to make this video because a lot of the time when I post my swatches, like on Instagram or on Twitter, the foundation swatches, people will be like, oh, her shade looks like this, or her shade looks like that, or that person doesn't look like they have a shade. So I wanted to kind of make this video to show people my thought process, kind of the science behind, using an arm swatch or a chest swatch or whatever type of swatch to choose your shade. It's going to depend on a few factors. It's going to depend on obviously your skin tone and your undertone, but it's also going to depend on what kind of coverage you're looking for, what kind of finish you're looking for, and how you do your makeup. So for me personally, I am more of a full face girl. I tend to either wear little to nothing or, a whole beat face. I don't really have a middle ground at this particular moment. Not necessarily because I can't do it, just because I don't know, I'm just like either I'm not wearing anything or I'm just going, the full nine. So I want to kind of do two different routines. I'm going to do half of my face how I would normally do it, kind of a full beat. I'm going to do the other half of my face in more of a kind of, your skin but better everyday look for those of you who are matching your foundations for more of that look, because I feel like that's the majority of you. Not everybody has time to do an hour's worth of makeup every day. Most people are doing a 10 and 15 minute routine and going out the door. So I'm going to do half of my face like that and the other half in a full beat. And to answer your question, yes, you would. I personally think, let me speak for myself, I would choose different foundations for those different occasions. So I choose a different foundation shade for when I'm doing a full beat and for when I'm doing more of an everyday look. And I will tell you why. But first we're gonna swatch the foundation. So NYX sent over 5 different shades. I have here Deep Sable, Cocoa, Deep Rich, Deep, and Chestnut. So I'm gonna go ahead and swatch those on my chest. And then I'm gonna go kind of through my thought process of what I would narrow it down to and swatch those on my face. So first we're gonna start off with Deep Sable. Next we have Cocoa. Next I have Deep Rich. And my bad, y'all, I did these out of order. These actually also have numbers. So Deep Sable was 18, Cocoa was 21, and Deep Rich is 20. But this is Deep Rich. This is Deep. And last but not least, we have Chestnut. So the first thing that we want to consider when choosing a shade is what kind of coverage is this foundation have? And the reason why I say that is because I feel like when you have a more medium or a lighter coverage foundation, you can kind of get away with a shade that's not exactly your shade. But when you get into the more medium to full foundations, if the foundation is literally going to cover every single, part of your face with none of your skin coming through, it has to be an exact match to your skin tone, or else it's going to look like, you're literally wearing a mask. It's going to look off. So this looks like a medium foundation, pretty medium coverage. It looks like some of my skin is still coming through from these swatches, but it is not too light so that I'm not getting no coverage, and it's not super full where I can't see my skin. So that means that I'm gonna try to get it as close as possible, but it's okay if it's a little bit off. The next thing I wanna look at is undertone. So for me, hopefully you could tell on camera, I have more of a yellow golden undertone. Just a quick kind of spiel on undertones. I used to think that red and orange and yellow were all in the same category, but that's not true. A red and a a red or a pinkish undertone is considered cool tone, while oranges, yellows are considered warm tone. So and then anything else, I guess, like olives, etc., are kind of more neutral. So normally I fall into the warm undertone category when I'm searching for foundations. It's really helpful when they have the undertone, although some brands kind of, I feel like, don't do the darker skin undertones properly because, yeah, anyways, don't want to get too much into that, but basically you want to try your best to identify your undertone. So for me, if you use me as a shade reference, I consider myself to have a warm to golden undertone. So that's what we're gonna look for first. So this one already, I can tell this is good. This would be considered a cool undertone. It looks pretty red. We're not gonna go for this. And this is deep rich. So that's not gonna be a match. So yeah, this is the wrong undertone. The rest of these kind of fall into the more warm undertone category. This one is very golden, but it's a little bit light for my face. But you can kind of tell as I move my chest that it matches the undertones. This one looks like it could be a good match to my face. This one could also be a good match. This one is, I feel like the right undertone, but it's a little dark. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with these two. I'm gonna swatch them on the side of my face so you can see what they look like. This is Cocoa, and this is Deep. So you can kind of see that it is kind of making my skin look pretty even. It's a pretty good match. So this is a type of shade that I would use for more of an everyday look. And I'll show you Deep. So I'm sure if you were wherever you are, at home, on the train, wherever you're watching this video, you probably suggest Cocoa to be my shade, and I would agree with you. But I would use Cocoa for my everyday look, and I will explain why. So when you do a full glam look, and I'm talking under eye concealer, you might be baking, you are doing contour, bronzing, blush, etc., you are going to be creating dimension in the face. You're going to be exaggerating the dimension that already exists. So when you start off with something that's exactly your skin tone and then you add things that are lighter, your overall look is going to look lighter. Even if you do add a little bit of bronzing and contouring, you're still, like, the brightness that is going to be kind of highlighted with your concealer is still going to kind of be the star of the show, and essentially you will look lighter. That's just basically what it is. So when I am doing a full glam look, I would choose something more along the lines of this. You can kind of see that it's a little bit darker than my skin tone, but when I highlight and contour, it's gonna all come together and it looks a lot better in my opinion, especially in photos, than when you start off with a color like this. So what I'm gonna do is do half of my face with Coke. Hopefully that made sense. I feel like it did in my head, but hopefully I'm gonna reiterate my points as I'm doing my makeup look, but hopefully that made sense to y'all. So I'm gonna do a more everyday look, something that maybe I would wear to work or something like Trader Joe's, something like that, something very cash on this side. And then I'm gonna do more of like my regular kind of everyday glam look on this side. So again, this is Cocoa and this is Deep. So let's get started. So we're gonna start off with this side of the face and we're gonna be doing the more everyday look. So I'm already prepped and primed with the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Gonna go in with the shade Cocoa. I'm not really familiar with this foundation. This is a squeezy tube, so I'm just gonna start off with this amount and we'll see where that gets us since I'm only doing half of the face. So I'm just gonna take that brush and just apply it this way. And then I'm gonna take this large kabuki brush that I have from Shiseido and buff it in. So if you can't already tell, it's a little warmer than my face, but it's doing a nice job of evening my skin tone out. So this is, you know, this half versus this half. I feel like it's doing a really good job of evening everything out and making it look pretty seamless and all one color. And yeah, so I think this would be a pretty good match hopefully, and it's very glowy. This is definitely born to glow for real. So yeah. My next step would be to add a little bit of concealer under the eyes, not too much, just to brighten it up. So I'm taking the Dose of Colors concealer. This is in the shade 26, and I like to use a concealer that has kind of an orange undertone that kind of both brightens and corrects at the same time. So I'm not putting a lot in. Normally I would actually leave it on for a little bit to kind of set and cut to increase coverage, but today, since this is more of the everyday look and this is like something super quick, I'm just gonna go ahead and buff that in. This is not something that is supposed to be extremely precise, but more so just to kind of, again, like brighten up under the eyes. And I like this concealer because it's mattifying, so it'll work kind of. I like this concealer because it's mattifying, so it'll work well with kind of the glowy finish. So you can see it didn't do like a lot, but it just kind of gave a little bit of brightness to the under eye. Next, I'm going to set that with a little bit of powder. I have the almond powder from Beauty Bakery and a little bit of cashew that I've mixed together. I'm just gonna sweep that. I'm just gonna sweep that under the eye. And I'm using a large brush because, again, this is something that you would do like quickly in the morning, not something you're gonna spend a lot of time with. You can see the powder just gives it just enough amount of brightness that it's not too bright, but just kind of gives it, you know, your eyes a little bit of a lift. My next step would be to apply some bronzer. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one from Prime Beauty. This is in the shade Bronzeville. I'm just gonna take this MAC 140S brush and just liberally kind of apply that to this area just to give the face some warmth. And then I'm gonna take that same brush and just apply a little bit of blush. This is the Mented Cosmetics blush in the shade Peach for the Stars. It has a little bit of shimmer in it, so it'll kind of give you a natural highlight without looking too like boom. And yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of put that at the apples and kind of in the place where I would normally highlight. So this is pretty much the finished face for like a very kind of everyday, on the go, kind of just evening out the skin tone. You can kind of tell if I step back a little bit that well, I still have the chest swatches on, but you know, this area looks seamless. Everything kind of matches. And yeah, so that was, I cannot talk today, wow. Whew. Okay, so this would be a routine that I would do if I was choosing to wanting to throw a little something on. Maybe you're going to the airport, maybe you're going to Trader Joe's, maybe you're just going out to the mall and you just want to have a little something on. This is kind of what I would go for. So on this side, we're gonna go ahead and go back to that darker foundation, and that was in the shade Deep. Before I get started on this before I get started on this side, I want you to know that I will set the face, but I'm gonna set my whole face with the same powder. So yeah, I'm just gonna wait till the end to set my face. So I'm gonna start off with this amount of product on the back of my hand. Not sure if I'm gonna need that much. I'm gonna be applying it with a more kind of condensed kabuki brush because I feel like I want more coverage on this side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and just have at it. So as you can see, the shade is a lot darker, and it's kind of very apparent when you compare it to the other side of my face. So hopefully you can see that this is significantly darker. This side is significantly darker than this side. So yeah, so I need this base to be a lot darker so that when I do highlight and contour, everything looks more seamless and matches my overall complexion. So the first thing I'm gonna do is use my Too Faced Born This Way foundation. Wow, I don't know what is going on with me today. I'm using my Too Faced Born This Way concealer in the shade Mahogany, and I'm gonna go ahead and apply that to the under eye area, and I'm gonna let that set. This color is a little bit lighter than the Dose of Colors concealer, and I don't know if it has more coverage, but I'm going to leave it on for a little bit and let it settle into the skin before I blend it out. So I'm just taking a sponge. This one is from Dose of Colors, and I'm gonna go ahead and start blending this out. I applied a little bit to my forehead as well. It's because I actually have a small forehead, so I wouldn't mind highlighting it and making it a little bit larger. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and I'm gonna use any excess to kind of do a little bit of reverse contouring, just because this is a glam look. So this is what the face is looking like with just the concealer applied. You can already tell that my face automatically looks more lifted. It doesn't look as dark. It's already kind of coming together, and you can see with the reverse contouring that there is a little bit of the darker foundation is coming through there, almost as like a natural contour. So you can already kind of see the magic happening. I hope it's coming across on camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and set this foundation with the same mixture of cashew and almond. And I'm just gonna press that under the eye with the same sponge. I feel like using the sponge to apply powder also kind of gives you a little bit more coverage, more than like when I just swiped it on the other side. So I like to just press and roll and concentrate that powder here, because this is where I tend to get oily. And I'm just going to use a little bit of the excess again to do a little bit of reverse contouring. So I'm just going to wipe away this line. This kind of just provides a guideline to make sure that my bronzer or contour doesn't go too far. Today I will be bronzing again. I'm just gonna go ahead and use the Prime Beauty on the other side as well. So reverse contouring just gives you a really nice guideline on where to apply that bronzer. And sometimes even then I do go a little bit too low, but it's just makeup, it's cool. So you can kind of already see, I'm looking at my monitor, and hopefully you can tell on camera that this side is actually looking lighter now than this side after the concealer and the powder. Even though we started off with a darker base, this side is looking kind of like more like my skin, while this side is looking a little bit brighter. My face, I feel like, is looking a little bit more pulled back. And yeah, it's kind of showing you why I would chose to start off with that darker shade, because I knew that the powder and the concealer was really going to draw you into this part of my face, which is going to be highlighted and looking a little bit lighter. So the next step, lately I've been kind of skipping out on highlighter, which is crazy. I don't know, maybe it's because the weather is changing. I'm not sure, but I really love using my Extra Dimension blush. This is in the shade Hard to Get. It's kind of broken, so I don't want to open it. But I use this as a bronzer blush highlighter topper, and I just go over this side of the face, kind of like I did with the peach shade. And it's like a nice bronzy color. It's like, it can be a highlight, it can be a blush, it can be a bronzer if you like shimmery bronzers and you're a little bit lighter than me. But I just placed that here as my highlight slash blush. So I feel like hopefully you can kind of tell the difference now. This side is way more kind of like ba ba boom. This side is kind of more natural. I'm gonna spray my face and set my whole face with the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish. So here are the finished looks. We have the everyday side, and we have the glam side. So hopefully this video was helpful for anyone wondering how to match their foundation using swatches. If I didn't answer some of the questions that you might have, please leave them below. I'll try to answer as many as I can. I know that's super difficult to try to match your foundation with swatches online, but sometimes unfortunately that's just our only option. I hope this video was helpful for some of y'all who've been having questions out there. Again, let me know if you have any additional questions in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. So with all that being said, I want to thank y'all so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I will see you in the next one.